is a tradition that has spanned the entire time of iRacing. It is the World Cup of iRacing, where we get all of the clubs to battle it out to see who is the best. Now, so far, only two have been able to hold that title of being the World Cup champions. Club Diaz have held the title more than anyone else. They held it at one point 3 years in a row. But Club Finland, they came and they upset the party. They are the reigning champions, and in 1 week's time, they hope to try and defend that. But today, we go to the group stage, and we go to a point where 16 teams get whittled down to 5. We have got ourselves on iRacing Live 12 hours of coverage ahead of us on RaceSpotTV, on the Global Sim Racing channel, and more. And it's all here on iRacing Live, and it will start on RaceSpotTV next.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old, solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year, the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular undulating Barber Motorsports Park Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle. And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the Air Green. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader.
In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto, and the green flag flies.
Where he's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the west.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe too deep.
to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. That's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now.
He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
For the Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Boston.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
Welcome to the 2015 World Cup of iRacing as we kick things off here on the group stage on RaceSpotTV. We've got 12 hours worth of coverage on iRacing Live, with us bringing you the first round of races, then GTR Live at 5 p.m. GMT. Then the Global Sim Racing channel will do a double header from 10 p.m. GMT all the way through the night as we get 16 teams whittled down to 5. We start our journey at Suzuka International Raceway. We are in the Dallara DW12 and one of the world's most iconic racing circuits, as we've got ourselves 4 incredible clubs who have progressed through to the first round of the competition championship format we got ourselves Club UK and Ireland, Club Asia, Club France, and Club Central Eastern Europe. One of these clubs in the next 3 hours will be guaranteed entry to the World Cup final, and one of them are going to have to do that long, hard wait through the day, through the night, and into tomorrow as they figure out if they can get themselves a wild card into the World Cup finals. Will Vincent here, along with Rachel Whiteford, on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. We'll get ourselves a chat with Mike Orlet, who is the World Cup organizer, in a couple of moments' time. But Rachel, Suzuka will separate the men and ladies from the boys and girls here today. We've got to figure out, and I'll say one thing, whoever comes out of this as the winner will have the momentum as we head to Homestead in a couple of hours' time.
Good afternoon. Well, it certainly will be an interesting race today, an interesting day of racing here as we start the tournament series of the World Cup finals. Big names here: Finland, UK and Ireland, Diach, Australia, New Zealand. We're looking forward to an exciting fight, and we're going to see exactly what can happen, because these tournament stages can really upset matters, and well, it's going to be awesome.
We can see it on the left-hand side of your screen, qualifying times as they stand right now. We've got ourselves Sebastian Jobe leading the way from Richard Avery. From Alex Simpson, then Richard Avery, then Fluke, then Rushwood, and yes, it's a Club UK and I lockout at the top of the standings for the time being. But of course, qualifying is one thing, racing is another, and we'll find that one out over the course of the next couple of hours as we roll things through here on RaceSpotTV. There you can see Vince Salmon for Club Central Eastern Europe working themselves then on the exit of the 130R. Qualifying is pretty much good complete. We're going to show you your qualifying times in just one moment's time. Before we do that, Rachel, it's worth noting that we've got the road, we've got the oval. Some clubs out of the 16 are very strong in one discipline. I think about certain clubs that are very strong on the road side, others very strong on the oval side. The team that will progress through today are going to be the ones that can be strong on both. They may not be the best in the oval or the road, but they've got to be strong. They've got to be up there, getting at least podiums.
Absolutely, and you've got to have a diversity in your team for the World Cup finals, of course, and I mean, you've got to be able to have field a team even that has that strength in depth, of course. You've got to be able to field the full 12 for this round, of course. That's 2 splits, so 6 in each. You've got to have 12 drivers at least to help, and I think a lot of teams are struggling to fill those. But at the same time, you've got to have that breadth of experience on both sides of the tournament. This is not about who can do best in road or oval. This is about who can do the best overall. This is multidiscipline, and it's difficult. Do what they will. I think Indy cars running around Suzuka is certainly a strange one for me. Yes. I know they have visited Japan in the past, but never here. It's certainly quite an interesting experience seeing probably my favourite class of car in the entire world racing around at Formula 1 track.
Oh yeah, IndyCar, of course, Motegi was designed by Honda to practice for Indy cars, and that's the reason why you've got both the egg-shaped oval and also the road course. But never have we had IndyCar come here. We've had NASCAR come here. That was back in 1997, as they decided that they were going to do an exhibition race, and that was really well received. Of course, Japan is always a favourable market for most forms of motorsports. They do their own thing in some ways with Super Formula, but we're going to show you first our starting grid then, as it's a hometown crowd for Club Asia. This year's starting grid, you can see your top 2 rows of the grid. It's a Club UK and I lockout. Sebastian Jobe, 1 minute 39.542. Alex Simpson alongside of him. Then Richard Avery and Jamie Fluke on the second row of the grid. Row number 3 will be Jamie Rushworth and Rob Reed. So therefore, your top 6 cars are all Club UK and Ireland. Takehara Ishiwaka and then Tatsuya Kimura is in row number 4. They are all Club Asia. Then you've got 2 more Club Asia drivers with Sergio O'Gara and Stephen Bakady there in row number 5. Vince Salomon is your first Central Eastern European driver with Baptiste Languette in P number 12, the first of the drivers for Club France. Club France then have 3 in a row with Frederic Saint-Denis, Julian Avoni and Zwick Gaten, P number 13 through 15. Then you got yourself Thomas Garoni rounding out row number 8 of your field. We cycle it on back and you see there you've got yourself Dan Garinsu and Dennis Resmu there for Club Central Eastern Europe. But it does look as though from qualifying alone, this one is in the hands of Club UK and Ireland with the top 6 cars in the field. Now what you expect to happen from here is a little bit like the 1997 Japanese Grand Prix. Get one of the drivers out in front, get the victory, and from there, get yourself as many people ahead of the rest. We are ready for racing for the first of the World Cup final group qualifier rounds. Lights are out. One driver from Club UK was slow off the line. We've got one driver from Central Eastern Europe. They're going down the middle, free winding towards turn number 1. And Club UK Ireland top 6 will stay top 6. But behind Central Eastern Europe, I believe that is there, are going strong as they work themselves through the S's for the first time. Rachel, Club UK Ireland did everything they needed to do at the start of this event. Get all of their bodies out front. From now on in, it's a case of trying to make sure they do not get P number 7, who's actually for Club Asia, I do apologise, this guy here, Takehara Ishiwaya, up through the field at all, because if they do, this race will get more interesting.
Certainly will, and well, Avery had a bad start there, but Jamie Rushworth had a great one, and that's him and Rob Reed managed to keep Takehiro Ishikawa behind them, at least for now, and stacking it behind them, big conga line forming behind those drivers, so it'll be interesting to see what they can do here. Of course, looking out towards the front wheel, Sebastian Job has checked out from the field. Alex Simpson in P2, not as big a gap to between himself and Avery, but Job has already got 12 car length gap.
Yeah, and that's the interesting point as well. Don't forget that Sebastian Job and Sebastian Job and Alex Simpson are teammates for Apex Racing UK. Richard Avery runs for Friction Racing, and this is the interesting point of this event. Mavano, I do take that one back. Yes, of course, he moved from Friction to Mavano. But it's an interesting point here.
Oh, well, pass for position here back in the field. That is, I believe, Pete Salomon is too wide through 130R. That's something you don't see very often.
Yeah, and actually we had free wide down into the Casio Triangle there on the end of the first lap. That was between the guy we're riding on board with now. That is Frederick St. Denis in the number 8 Club France car, the Group TV sponsored car, heading down in towards turn 1, battling out with their Ogawa. But I was saying, Rachel, one of the things about this thing is that you've got teammates. In some cases, they are club-centric. In other cases, they are worldwide-centric. And I will use Kayana Sim Sports here as an example. You got yourself Club Diach and Club Brazil represented in these World Cup finals. You got yourself also Club Finland in that same team as well. You've got to separate for 2 weeks here, your team and your club.
Very much so, and I think one of the teams that perhaps will benefit from that is the likes of Apex, because they are largely a UK and I based team in the Drivers' World Championship and the Pro Series, so they all work together normally, and they are working together now, and it gives them a bit of strength there in depth. They're not competing against one another. In Brazil, though, had a very poor showing so far in the World Cup. Hugo, I think, wasn't awake, so missed that, and they didn't qualify.
Yep, so Club Brazil.
Oh, very interesting. Oh, that was close, Will. Shigeru Ogawa just passing the car there of Tsuki Kimura, and that was very, very close on the approach to Spoon 1. That was... they were literally nearly touching wings.
And the issue with that one is, of course, they are two teammates, and they need to make sure that teammates don't take teammates out. We saw, of course, last year in the World Cup finals at Road Atlanta, an interesting situation as Vic Solomon there goes himself past, no he doesn't, he stays behind to Kamura for the time being. But we saw in the World Cup finals last year, Rachel, what can happen?
He spun it. Vic Solomon spun round out at the final corner there. Narrowly avoids being hit by two separate cars. I'm going to get a replay for you now, but narrowly avoids being hit there. He goes right to the back of your field.
Yeah, we called that one live, but we're getting ourselves one more look on board then with Vit as well. It's all going wrong for that club for the time being. They came in and the ability, and you can see on board of him there. He's very lucky he didn't get anyone tagging the front of this car, but it's always a dangerous situation as he tries to get that car 180-degree turn. You can see the black marks on the asphalt there. And well, Vit Salomon down in P number 14 of 18 right now as he works himself back down onto another lap. Out front though, Sebastian Job leads to Max Simpson, then Avery, then Rushworth, Fluke and Reed are your top 6. It's still Club UK and Ireland leading your top 6 positions. Rachel, going back to the Asia situation, they cannot take out their own teammate. You've got to remember, a teammate in this circumstance, you've got to work with them because the point is the common good, not who's got the biggest ego.
Very much so, and we saw that have a problem last year. We saw it definitely have a problem in the Intimidator round this year earlier on, where in the final UK and Ireland were against Carolina. And, well, Carolina fought each other, erased each other, wrecked each other, and they ended up losing points for their club, whereas UK and Ireland didn't care where they finished, as long as they finished together. And that points bonus was a big advantage of the teams. Have been showing that same dedication. It's great to see. We see it all the time from Diach, from Finland.
Rachel,
and it's
spinner. So that's,
we do.
The H drive there of Stephen Buckade there, losing it down at the 130R. We caught it on our screen. The forward eco
big
boost
damage.
car, and the front end of that car is destroyed. He lost it with the fastest corner of the racetrack, Rachel. And from there on in, that car is going to be toast. He's going to have to come on towards pit road. He's going to, in fact, he's not even going to make it back to pit road. We don't think. He's still on the track. He's going very, very slowly, trying to find a lane to get back on. But that car will have to come on pit road. I don't see suspension damage per se. Actually, no, I do see suspension damage. That car is toast.
It is. Not a great day for him, as they'll be losing some points with a non-finisher. Just one Asia driver I do want to focus on. That's Takahiro Ishikawa, up currently in P number 7. Seconds behind Rob Reed, and, well, 5 seconds ahead of Tatsuya Kimura. And that's the other Club Asia driver, but Ronin Racing there for the 64 machine of Takahiro Ishikawa, one of our probably secret favourite teams in the iRacing World Championship Grand Prix Series. Well, always love what those guys can do, and see a Ronin Racing car out here on the track, that gives me hope for Asia.
It does, indeed. Don't forget, by the way, to talk about the World Championship Grand Prix Series, this is what's going to happen a little bit later on RaceSpotTV. At the bottom of the hour, we start the journey where we take over 50 drivers who have got themselves pro licenses. We put them into a 10 race championship as they battle for just 25 World Championship license golden tickets. It is live on RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live as the 2015 Pro Series of Road Racing will kick off in just 30 minutes time here on the world's greatest sim racing broadcaster. As we continue out front, Sebastian Job, what a lead he has, Rachel, over Alex Simpson. The gaps of this race are substantial. But the thing we need to remember at this stage of the event, it's not who's battling with whom, but who's getting the most points for their own clubs right now. And Asia are clearly best of the rest. Then after that, it's a kind of toss-up between Central Eastern Europe and Club France.
Very much so, and right now it's managing those points is the critical component for these guys. They've got to try and get what they can. Obviously we have no intel on split number 2 right now, but hopefully we can find that out. And we've actually got Matt Dalton here, who's Club World Cup captain for the UK and Ireland club. We can see if we can get a word with him right now if he's available. He said he would be. Of course, any other club captains who wish to talk to us during this road broadcast or the Oval afterwards, please come to the RaceSpotTV TeamSpeak and we'll try and get a chat with you about your club's performance so far. But it seems like Matt Dalton isn't here right now, so we will get a chat to him later.
Yeah, we have got ourselves a World Cup organiser. That is Mike Ottawet there. And Mike, interesting point to note is that this is the first of 4 group rounds, and we often see the best of the rest. They are the ones that will, for about the first half of the day at least, be right there in contention, and it's always on the heartbreak at the end. We only need to talk to Australia and New Zealand to talk about that, but today it does seem to be that Group A, we've got ourselves from the first 10 minutes worth of racing at least in qualifying, one clear favourite, and then everyone scrapping to be that second place team.
Yeah, you're right. Here's good news for the Aussies. They only have to wait one group this year, so that'll be new. Numbers is the big game in this deal, and it looks like Asia's got a full squad, and obviously UK and I does. So France doesn't have a whole lot of drivers, so unfortunately CE&E does. But right now, Asia should be able to put up quite a few points, even if they don't take any of the podium spots. They should be in good spot to sweat it out.
Now, of course, we've got ourselves 4 different groups here today. Group A, I always thought, you know, the outcome of that one might be favoritized towards one club. The same with Group B and D, but Group C, I've labelled the group of death. Because you've got yourselves 3 clubs who have, well, in fact, all 4 clubs have the ability to win that group. Club Texas, Club Iberia, Club Finland, Club Australia, New Zealand. That one will really be the group of death. And we always get one every year. That one is going to be the one that we're going to have to pay attention to later on.
Agreed. If those 4 all bring all their drivers, it should be awesome.
And don't forget as well, Group B will be later on. That will be on TTR Live with Club Diat, Club Scandinavia, Club West Racing Group, and Club Florida. Don't ever discount any of those 4 clubs as well. Club Florida, for example, they have been strong in previous World Cups. Then Group D, Club Northwest, Club Canada, New York, and Carolina. Final question at this stage, Mike. Do you think oval or road course will win this year's World Cup?
It'll be both. Finland, actually, DH has brought some awesome oval drivers too, so both. No answer.
Oh yeah. We'll talk to you a little bit later on. As you can see there, the interesting paint scheme for Club UK and Ireland for this year. You got yourself Jamie Rushworth running himself in 4th position. Further on back, Patrice Languette last time by 145.235, grabbing out with Vit Salomon as they come past the line. Rachel, this is one of the best battles that we have on track right now, as Languette runs in P number 12. We've got Vit Salomon running in P number 11.
And don't forget, Vit Salomon had that spin earlier on, so that's definitely been a slowdown for him in terms of his performance. So tyres also a bit on the older side now. You know, these guys are going to have to come to pit road, so we'll see if he can hang on till then. But Langley is catching Vit Salomon quite quickly now. Last time around, 45.2 for Langley, 45.2 for Vit, so that's almost equal that time by. So both drivers kind of on a balance, but I think those older tyres and the slid tyres for Vit Salomon will be a disadvantage. Right now, though, we do have Matt Dalton, the club captain from Club UK and Ireland. He's only deemed to join us. Matt, you've got to be very happy to see 6 of your cars in the top 6 of this race so far. And are you telling Sebastian Jarrett to dial it back yet?
Yeah, we're pretty happy with how things are. It's hard to say too happy because we want to see every club having as many people out as possible. We want to see anybody struggling with numbers and things like that. I don't think that helps anyone. But yeah, we're reasonably happy with where we are on our speed. We've asked the guys to dial it back a bit and just make sure they keep it on the tarmac. So
obviously your car's running currently 1 to 2 seconds faster than the rest of the field, which is an incredible number there. As we just saw a bit of a slide from Rob Reed actually coming through the first Degner. But obviously you've got to manage this team. You've got to make sure you have drivers and reserves, especially for anyone that's double heading today. Is there anybody in this road team that will be double heading to the oval?
Yeah, we got a couple of guys. Jamie Rushworth and Rob Reed are both in both. We may have a couple of extra couple of people doing some different things next week as well, if we get that far. Should we get that far? So yeah, there's a couple of people have to double up, but you just got to take it easy and see how things go. They're not going to count your chickens before they hatch. We don't know what's happening in Split 2 at this moment, so hopefully things are going okay there as well, and get through this. We've still got the oval to come later on. I'm expecting Asia and CE to be pretty strong there. I know a few of the CE drivers and they're pretty good, so you know, it's only half a job and it's not even that yet, so slow and steady. And I've said to the guys, just dial it down a little bit, take your time, make sure you finish, keep it on the track, don't try and drop it off.
Wise words from the Club UK and captain there, Matt Dalton, of don't drop it off the track. Definitely something we can all subscribe to. But thank you very much for your time, Matt, and we'll hopefully catch up with you later on and chat to you during the oval race. But for now, we'll let you get back to your team.
No problem, cheers.
Yeah, it's worth noting that actually we talk about people staying on the shiny stuff, and in terms of Club France, they have down now 1 driver. It is Dorik Gate in there in the number 18 car. He is classified for the time being as out of this event due to the fact that his car is on pit road with substantial damage to that one. We've got ourselves a total of 3 retirees so far as well. You got yourself Dennis Rozumov, Stefan Bocade, and Thomas Kurani. So out of the 18 drivers that started this event, of the 24 drivers that will be eligible, we have ourselves 15 running. 13 of those are classified on the lead lap, and we've got ourselves Dan Guareno, and he also represents Club Central Eastern Europe. He's actually just gone wide there, letting a teammate go past, and he is classified the last driver circulating on track right now in the 17 car, 14th position on track. Now, let's have a look back up for your field, because it's interesting to note that last time by, P number 7, Takihara Ishiwaka was but in fact, let's take that wrong again. He's 5 seconds slower than his teammate, Kiruma, in the 019 machine. Rachel, Club Asia, they're getting themselves into a nice little battle right now.
They are, but the problem is, do they want to be in a battle right now? Looking back there, it's one of the Central Eastern Europe cars of Thomas Kareni, who's actually catching there, or starting to catch Tsuya Kimura, and being caught by Geru Agawa. These guys don't want to be racing. I know it's a race, but they want to be looking after points. Of course, every little one matters, and if you end up in a fight with a different club, it means you have to push harder than you probably want to, and it cause problems. So right now, that car of Thomas Kareni certainly in the middle of a Team Asia sandwich.
We've also got back at the rear of your field. Again, it is another inter-club battle. It's Vit Salomon in P number 11. Scrapping it out with Patrice Languette there in P number 12. And Salomon was horrifically bad there through the 130R that last time by. And that allowed Languette to close up just a little bit. The gap is 2.1 seconds last time by. The drivers were able to do almost identical lap times. Patrice Languette were a 144.710, a 10th faster than Salomon, and this is the battle now at the rear end of your field. So we're going to get a word in a moment for someone representing Club Australia New Zealand, and this is one of the things here, Rachel. 16, and I say that again, 16 clubs are battling here today for just 5 spots in the World Cup finals over a 12-hour period. And we talk about Australia and New Zealand, and of course we have to remember the heartbreak from last year when those guys were the wild card for so long, and then eventually they were just outshone at the final round of the day.
Yeah, they were, and the same thing happened during the Intimidator, but we're joined here by Brenton O'Brien, familiar name and voice on RaceSpotTV. Brenton, your club is looking like a strong contender this time around. What can you bring to undeniably the most difficult group of yourselves, Texas, Iberia, and Finland?
It is a hard group, but as my favourite footy coach says, you get what you deserve, and at the end of the day, we didn't have strong participation in qualifying, so we did get what we deserve. We struggled at the end, and I'm thinking tomorrow, in probably, what are we racing now? A few more hours to go yet, that the numbers will probably be lowish as well. It's just a lot of the boys have made a commitment to a certain time where the race was going to be, and then they changed that time around. So there's been some dramas there. But yeah, we might not win the group, but we might be the best of the rest, and I think that's what we're aiming for.
Of course, Australia and New Zealand have a lot of strength in the oval side as well, which could be a major factor for you guys against Iberia, who perhaps are more road-centric, and Texas, who are more oval. You guys can bring it to both sides of the competition. And just how important do you think that is, that breadth of experience?
Oh, well, it has to be important, doesn't it? And there's a lot of guys who probably haven't
we have a
done
spinner
a
on the
race.
racetrack. It's a UK night car. Sorry to cut you off there. Jamie Rushworth goes round from P number 4. And that car looks somewhat damaged there, Will. Losing it, coming to the corner before Spoon 1. Gets on the white line. Oh, loses that nose. Could be front wing damage there for number 3.
Yeah, and that's exactly what Matt Dalton was saying earlier. Make sure you keep the cars on the black and shiny stuff. Jamie Rushworth there. And then number 3, Club UK. And that was actually a part of the racetrack I very rarely see anything at. Now, the good thing is, we saw that on board. He didn't actually hit anything. That car looks to be okay, unless someone hit him as he came back
not.
onto the surface. So he's okay for the time being. Number 3 car of Jamie Rushworth, a very scary moment. We're going to get ourselves one more look at that one. And that's the thing. You got 6 drivers eligible in each of the splits. You got to make sure they each bring their car home. And, well, Brenton, we talk about, you know, drivers here, you've got the star power, but also at the same time, you rely in any club on the depth of your field here. And that's one thing Club Australia and New Zealand have always had. Do you think that's going to be your way through at least getting the wild card, potentially winning the group here today for your depth of schedule here?
The depth is an important thing, there's no doubt, and the Australian-New Zealand community does run fairly deep. But like I was saying before, the timing is probably not perfect for the Aussies or the Kiwis, to be honest with you. But by saying that, yeah, like I said, we qualified deep into our group, so that's the penalty we pay, and we've got to put up with that. Hopefully, you know, with that depth that we do have, you know, we can get results through. I know even as late as a couple of hours ago, there was still a bit of a recruitment drive to get guys racing, so hopefully we'll be fine. But, you know, like I said, we've got some strong competition, and at no stage do you want to take them lightly or underestimate them, and we've got our work cut out for us for sure.
Final question. A week ago, it was Australia and New Zealand on opposite sides of the field. This week, you guys are working together. Any love lost?
Well, we're still, to a point, working opposite each other in the cricket, and the Kiwis aren't travelling too well there, but when it comes to this, we're very united, and you know, between the two countries, let's face it, between the two countries combined, we still have much less population than the UK, and so yeah, we're up against it there, but all we can do is keep pushing forward, do as many laps as we can, get the best amount of people that we can do, and yeah, maybe a bit of luck will go our way.
Well, thank you very much, Brenton O'Brien there, for having a talk with us from Club Australia and New Zealand. And ironically, Rachel, if that club wins, they'll probably have another world. Oh, we've got another spinner on the racetrack, and that is Julian Avarin there. And that is down in the 13th position. That car looks as though it is totaled. That one looks as if it's on the exit of Denga number 2. So we'll get ourselves a quick replay of that one. But Rachel, if Australia and New Zealand will win this competition, they will have themselves a second World Cup to see whether it's Australia or New Zealand that can be classified as World Cup champions.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see that. I'd love to see those guys get through to the final of their own right. I think the club they're in right now is a bit of an unfair one. You've got such a high strength of field really in one split. Between themselves, Finland, Iberia and Texas, that's one of the best clubs in the world. We'll have to knock each other out, which is going to be really difficult, but honestly I think Australia could well get wild spot this time around, and I think they deserve it. They're often just so close, but really important for them. Of note though, we thought that Rushworth would be caught by Takahito Ishikawa, but it looks as though Tatsuya Kamura is actually catching Ishikawa, so that should be less of an issue for the UKNI driver. But, well, Asians catching, Sebastian Job is in, but that is for his scheduled pit stop, let's not forget. There's one pit stop required during this race. We're on lap 14 now, so it'll be 2 pit stops, we think. Actually, no, 24 minutes a lap, so that's probably 1. Yep. So we've got Job in, and he's got a good stop, out and away. 4 tyres and racing fuel.
Yep, so you can see Sebastian Job then, the first of your drivers to pit. 10.5 second stop. He is out, and he is away. As pit stops will cycle through over the course of the next, realistically, 2 to 3 laps time. It's a long lap here at Suzuka. I'm just having a look down at the lane. You've got yourselves one driver there from Club Asia on pit road as we speak, and that one is Ogawa in the number 16 car, heading himself now down towards pit road, get himself 4 fresh tyres and top up on race fuel as well. You can see a couple of drivers there on pit road. They have got themselves damaged in the race car. They are almost going to be terminal out of the event. They are Julian Amori and also Swick Gayton. Pit stop time 9.2 seconds for Ogawa, out and away in that number 16 Club Asia machine, as we'll circulate his car back out onto the track. And, well, no real traffic around. Let's zoom that camera out and have a look. No, he'll come back out into P number 11 with a nice sizable gap around him. Rachel, pit stops, they're going to kick off. And, of course, the one thing that Club UK Ireland will have to do at this stage of the event was make sure they don't speed onto one of the slowest pit roads in all of sim racing.
definitely. And let's not forget, though, you do have a, of course, a pit limiter for the IndyCar, so make sure you use that one. But we've seen Sebastian Job screw that one up before at Suzuki. I think it was Silverstone.
Yep.
In the DWC this year. He actually managed to come onto pit road about 50 miles an hour too fast, so I mean, he's probably acutely aware of as we see one of the UK9 drivers peel in. That was the car there of Jamie Rushworth heading onto pit road. Rob Reed's also in. Jamie Fluke's also in. Avery's still out. Alex Simpson on pit road. Every UK9 driver now, apart from Avery on pit road, as Simpson will leave just behind Takahiro Ishikawa. So the guy who was leading the race now out behind P7, who's yet to stop. That's how big a gap they've got.
Yeah, Rob Reed coming out of pit road, 10.4 seconds. Rushworth still on pit road. Jamie Fluke out and away in 10.3 seconds. Jamie Rushworth will be out in 9.6 there. Lots of drivers on pit road, including now Tatsura Kimura in the number 019 machine. You can see that car on pit road getting himself a service, out and away in 10.1 seconds. So 20 minutes worth of racing to go. Club UK Ireland look as though they have the road race in the bag, but don't forget, after the road race we go to an oval. That oval is Homestead Miami Speedway. It's a difficult oval. It's a tough oval with multiple lanes, and who knows who will be the victors of that one. We'll step aside for just one moment, ladies and gentlemen. We'll take your RaceSpotTV side by side. We shall be right back.
Truex in the outside, contact made. 56 slides in at a 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even, give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to this, the World Cup of iRacing Group A out of 4. And it looks like Club UK Ireland have been dominating this one. They still hold the top 6 positions. Then you got yourself Asia. They have got P7 and 8. Then you've got the Club France and P number 9. And then rounding out the top 10 is another Club France driver. But we're going to step aside for one moment and talk about the Pro Series of road racing. It starts today. we get ourselves over 50 of the world's best sim racers who wave the golden ticket of the iRacing.com World Championship Grand Prix Series in their face, and we make them race for 10 races over 13 weeks. Johnny Simone is going to lead our coverage of the Pro Series of road racing. Johnny, welcome back to RaceSpotTV, and it's going to be a crazy Pro Series. My eyes are on Matt Backham to see if he can do the impossible and win every single round of that championship.
Yeah, Will, it's going to be an incredible series going into 2016, as you mentioned, and we got 9 rounds to challenge these drivers. What's so interesting about this season is the fact that it's so competitive, the grid, the newcomers, the rookies coming in to earn that 2016 license, and the drivers who didn't manage to achieve that top 25 result in the World Championship. There's a lot of strong drivers out there. We know some from the Radicals team. They're going to be fighting guys like Jonas Nukarainen, Mac Backham as well. Newcomers, as you mentioned, Michael Dinkel, so many names we're going to lose track of. It's going to be one competitive series. Stay tuned. Qualifying in right around just over 5 minutes time, so tune into that when you're free, obviously.
Yeah, and very quickly, we've got Andrew Woodhouse, Brenton O'Brien here. I'll come to you first, Woody. People like Nikurian, for example, they were in the World Championship Grand Prix Series. They're having to re-qualify for next year. The pressure on these drivers is out of chart. It is going to be so hard for these drivers. They didn't complete last time. We've got to do it again, and this time the pressure's on them to maintain a license, not gain one for the first time.
Yeah, that's going to be the difficult thing for these guys, is that, you know, they have a lot to lose, Will, and that's the thing. When they came down from the World Championship Series, you know, the top 25 drivers, I mean, I've spoken to Alex Simpson, for instance, and the relief was palpable there of him not having to compete in this field, because he knows how much of a competitive series this is going to be. You've got, you know, the entry list including like Rico Alatalo, Graham Carroll, Miguel Martin, a lot of really good drivers in there as well. Mike Backham's not going to have this all his own way. He's going to be very near the top, I think, but yeah, he's going to struggle to win all the races. I'm going to say that.
Finally, before we head on off back to the World Cup of iRacing, Brenton, who's going to be champion in your eyes?
Let's throw a heap of marbles up in the air and see which one comes down first. I can't give you a name right now, I'll be honest with you. It's such a tight competitive field, and you don't want to make a mistake. There's going to be no prisoners taken in this series. There's a lot of guys who have worked up, done lots of hours of practice. Wish them all the best of luck. Hope the racing's clean. But there is going to be one winner at the end of it, and they deserve what they get.
There's prizes on the line, of course. There's golden tickets on the line. It is the iRacing.com Pro Series of Road Racing. It will start on RaceSpotTV in 5 minutes' time. Join Johnny, Brenton, and Woody for coverage of the entire series, along with Hugo Louise, as we head ourselves back then to the iRacing.com World Cup of iRacing. We're having a look there at a scrap going on between Frederick St. Denis and Vit Sullivan. This is for P number 10. P number 11 on track right now. And Rachel, it looks as though we've got ourselves our first real inter-club battle. And this is a great one for the last step of the top 10 between Denise and Solomon.
Very much so. Frederick St. Denis is actually trying to now defend against Vit Sullivan. So big fights forming here as they head in through turn number 2. Up towards the S's here at Suzuka, and Salomon catching the back of that French car very quickly as a Central Eastern European driver. Makes some very good moves. We saw him make a mistake early on, of course. He did spin that car out of the final corner, but we know Vit Salomon is a very fast driver as he gets right up underneath the rear wing there of Saint-Denis. Very close to making contact there and destroying his front wing, but just keeps it out of the car. But Salomon, we know, very fast driver, very good driver, so got to make sure he doesn't make a mistake here and put himself out of the race.
Very quickly to our wonderful viewers, as we see there, Solomon there, all over the rear of Frederick St. Denis once again. Be nice to each other. This is the World Cup of iRacing. You know what? Yes, it's an inter-club competition, and I say this every single year. It's an inter-club competition, but at the same time, we are part of sim racing community. Let's not make this one of these things where we have people shouting at each other for no reason. Let's make this a celebration. And Rachel, it's one of these things as well. So running on board with Solomon. This is one thing I love about the World Cup of iRacing. We see some people that don't participate always in competition. just all of a sudden participating, and it's great to see them. Last year, of course, we saw the sensational Gregor Hutu getting out of his Team Redline Formula 1 car for the first time and participating in the World Championship. It's again Salomon all over the rear of that number 8 car through the Cascade Triangle.
Yeah, very close there for driver there, Viet Salomon, really nearly making a mistake. He's got to be not trying too hard here. He's putting himself in a very difficult position. So every time he gets too close, he has to back off, and that loses him time. So he really needs to position here for an overtake rather than making these lunges towards the back of the car of Saint-Denis.
Team number 10 is Saint-Denis right now in that number 8 Club Francais machine as the Central Eastern Europe car of Salomon all over the rear into, and you can see just how much faster he is through the S's. You're not going to get caught. Oh, turned around there. It's the driver of Saint-Denis there. I was going to say, you don't often find passes down at the S's, but Saint-Denis turned around. Replay is up immediately, and let's have a look at this one. Let's break it down because, of course, the World Cup crew are here in action this weekend. We're going to slow it all the way down, and, well, Rachel, I will say, it does look as though, from this first looking, that number 66 car just got a little bit too aggressive. That number 8 car was running its normal line there, down into the right-hander. The number 66 machine, well, in my opinion, might have just pushed the issue a little bit too hard, too early.
I don't necessarily agree. See, I'd say Viet Salomon there was a faster car being held up, and as you see there, he gets a better run through the corner, he runs to the outside. A little optimistic perhaps, but he is on the outside when Saint-Denis tracks out from the apex. Used a bit more road than was available, so I'd probably put that one on the number 8 car. But at the same time, the situation was created by the 66, which is a problem, so bad move made by Viet Salomon, but the incident was definitely caused by Saint-Denis.
Let's have a look then at another replay from onboard with Saint-Denis. As you can see, that car's going to look himself down in a moment to the inside right about here. And, well, from that angle, I always say there's 2 different racing lines here. And, of course, the driver at Saint-Denis was in front, but then you've got to consider the racing lines as well. Saint-Denis was clearly in front, but the inside line had been taken away by Viet Salomon. So it does look as though that actually, from a second looking on board, that maybe, just maybe, Saint-Denis had just tried to close the door when the door should not have been closed, and they could have run too wide for that corner. The next corner, of course, would have been in the favour of Saint-Denis, but no damage that's substantial to either of those cars. I'm going to bring Mike Olivet back into the conversation at this stage because, of course, he is the World Cup coordinator. And, Mike, every time I talk to you, I feel as if I'm talking to, in the old BCS era, I'm talking to something that's a little bit different from normal iRacing, you know. This isn't iRacing. You've not got yourselves, you know, points in terms of iRating or safety rating. This is a hosted series. It does feel like the old BCS in some ways, like the Bowl series, but at the same time, there are still rules and there are still regulations that have to be adhered to.
Yeah, there are. It's the racing standards don't change for this competition. You would like to think, as you said before, that you know, you'd have a little bit higher sportsmanship given it's a club event. I'd like to see was more participation. Frankly, this has been our baby for 4 years now. And we really want it to explode in popularity, and I don't understand why it wouldn't. You know, we see a 100-page thread in the forums about the Rugby World Cup. You know, that passion should not be any different for this. You know, we should be getting fired up for our club and country just the same.
Now, how do you review incidents involving inter-club events, shall we say, on track? Because I know you've got yourself a team of people from around the world, but of course, evidently, if there's a couple of UK and Ireland driver involved, you wouldn't get Katie Scott into the conversation about who was right and who was wrong. But how do you go through that process of negotiating and figuring out what happens if there is unsportsmanlike conduct that is taking place on this racetrack?
Yeah, so in the group stage, we're reliant on a protest to be filed. In the finals, we'll have the live stewards, and they will be from non-represented clubs, so that won't be an issue.
And of course, we've got ourselves the OVO race yet to come at Homestead Miami Speedway. Of course, this is one of only, I'm trying to work out, Of course, we've got 16 races overall at second place here today. Group B is going on as we speak. We know that you're keeping an eye out, on split number 2 of Group A. Group B will be later on today. But split number 2 of Group A, any updates, any news that you can tell us at this stage?
Yeah, UK and I's got 4 of the top 6, and Central and Eastern Europe is sort of spoiling Asia's plans. They've got the 6th, 7th, and 8th driver, and although they only have 4 drivers, so they are stealing a ton of points from Asia for that second spot.
Rachel, thank you very much, Mike. When we talk about Asia, Rachel, they were hoping for the wildcard spot, in all honesty, when you think about it. They knew that they wouldn't necessarily get themselves the automatic qualification, but they knew that they were in a shot of a wildcard. The wildcard seems to be taken away because of their split 2 performance, and that essentially means now they're going to have to go hard or go home when it gets to the oval, because the wildcard position really is won by a dominant second place team. The trading positions of P2, 3 clubs from, let's say, P4 through to P10, no one of that group will get themselves a wild card. And over the course of this evening, that is going to become more and more evident.
I think it is, and of course, the strength of performance there is a major issue, and you've got to make sure you've got that depth, because it does matter. And if you can only fill out the top split, yeah, okay, the win in split 2 is worth about 10th place in the top, but at the same time, you need those points. They make the difference. This often comes down to 10s, hundreds of points. It's not a lot that makes a difference, and one position can affect that. As we saw here, of course, that was the club captain, Vít Salomon, that had the incident now with Frédéric Saint-Denis. BCE has, they've just had some problems, and they've not got the strength in numbers. And when the club captains, they're getting frustrated making a move against another driver, and they are realistically battling for P2 and 3 in this group. When they're battling, P3 and 4, I should say, because Asia seems to be taking the early second place here, but at the same time, even they're fighting with the Central Eastern Europe group and the French, so there doesn't seem to be a clear second here. In other groups there might be. So for example, if we would look at the group that Diach is in, I'm just going to bring up that figure now, but of course, Max moved the thread, no, there it is. If we look at Group B, that's Diach, Scandinavia, Club West and Club Florida. No offense to anybody else, but Diach seemed to have a pretty good run there.
Yeah.
And I'd probably put Scandinavia in second, as a clear second.
See, I disagree. I think Florida will get second.
Actually, yeah, they have a pretty good road strength.
Yeah.
I
think Florida will get second.
Potentially New York or Canada are the ones there. But look at C. Finland, Australia, Iberia, Texas, they're going to take points off each other.
Yeah.
And I think that could be not a case of who loses or who wins, but just how close it is. Because one incident in either the road or the oval race could actually mean that one of the other clubs goes through. That one of the other groups might not have enough points to be wildcards. So we could see some real shock results from this event.
Finland are there for the taking in that group. If Australia can get a side out.
Yeah. We're just having a look, by the way. You can see a little bit of lap traffic going on. That's number 8 machine there at Frédéric Saint-Denis after coming out of pit road. Just being lapped there by your club UK and Ireland leader. But this is one fascinating thing about the World Cup, is that you don't often get a situation where you get a dominant club and then a dominant second club. You always get a mixture of either a dominant club and then P2 and 3 scrapping for position, or 2 or 3 clubs scrapping for the overall win. And that often means that you end up with one club going through and then the rest of the clubs ending up on the outside looking in, because of the fact they're all taking points away from each other. I think at this stage of the championship, Florida are my favourites to go through as the wild card. Now, I've always said that whoever wins Group number C are the favourites to win the overall competition. That's out of course, Club Finland, Club Australia, so on and so forth. And I think that, in my opinion, that Florida will be a wild card. And Rachel, I think also that Club Finland here have got to be careful when it gets to the actual event, because they are a team that are renowned for their speed, but they're also renowned for not understanding, in some ways, the big picture. And we've seen this before. They lost the World Cup a couple of years back because they thought about their individual battles and not about the overall team picture. Club Finland have got to be careful in Group C.
I think they do, and like we said, it's easy for it to become too much of a maelstrom and a fight in there. I see Group C being a real dogfight, whereas if you look at perhaps Group A at the moment, it's appearing to be a bit of blitzkrieg going on here with UK and I pretty much taking an early lead. Now, that might not last into the Oval, and there's every chance it might not, but at the same time, early domination by this group. So it's very, very interesting to see exactly what's happening, and where you've got a group like this one where you might see in some of the other ones. Of course, I think that could potentially happen in B as well. Not as much, but I think D will certainly be the runaway winners. That's going to be a major factor, and I think the groups that are more separated out perhaps is a good thing. I don't really agree with Group C being the clubs that it is, because that's such a high strength of field group. It kind of waters things down, but it had to happen somewhere.
Yeah. Don't forget, by the way, the entire group stage of the World Cup of iRacing is live on iRacing Live. Group number B, we live on GTR Live, and that'll be from 5 PM GMT for the over race. That is Club Diat, Club Scandinavia, Club West Racing, and also Club Florida. That is one where I think the wild card will come from. Group C as one part of a GSRC double-header. The Global Sim Racing channel, they kick things off with Club Finland, Club Australia, New Zealand, Club Iberia, and Club Texas. Whoever, in my opinion, wins that one has got to be the favourite for the overall championship. Then Group D, the second part of the double-header for GSRC, Club Northwest, Club Canada, Club New York, and Club Carolina. The white flag is out. There's one more lap to go, and the first of our events here on RaceSpotTV. Don't forget, oval racing is next. That is from Homestead, Miami Speedway. But here today, Rachel, there's no other way, and I've always got to be careful when I do this. There's no other way of saying this, but Club UK and Ireland have dominated here. Yes, I'm a Brit, but these guys, top 6 positions, there's no other word except for domination.
I thought you were American, Will. But that aside, yeah, it's been an incredibly dominant performance, and from what Mike said, 4 out of the top, or was it 5 out of the top 6 in the second split, combined with a dominant top 6 here. There were 7 cars in the lead lap. The only one is Takahiro Ishikawa, the Ronin Racing entry for Club Asia, who is, of course, World Championship Grand Prix Series class. And apart from him, it's all 6 UK and I cars in the top 6, nose to tail. This is a Le Mans finish for Audi style of event. As we come in now for the final lap, and Bastian Job doing a very slow cool down lap. He's won the race, of course. Alex Simpson second, Richard Avery in third. Jamie Fluke is coming through now to come home in 4th position. That's how far he was back. Gap of, well, looks like about 20 seconds. Jamie Rushworth also across the line. Just Rob Reed, their last driver to come across, as they secure a top 6 lockout. Yeah, as a UK and I club member myself, and somebody who's actually taking part in the actual oval event later, not as a driver, but it's an incredible performance, and I think at the same time it can also lead to overconfidence. A performance like this could lead to the UK and I's downfall. They have to keep that in check.
Not necessarily now, but in a week's time. That's what I worry about. And of course, many people know that I've had my informings out my own club. So, you know, I'm not the sort of person to jump on the Club UK and Ireland bandwagon and go, oh yeah, whatever. I do this impartially, but I will say, as a matter of fact, I have not seen one club dominate a road event this heavily. As we see Rob Reed there, just putting his car off the side of the racetrack. There you can see Club Asia. Club Asia, I'm going to stop for a minute here, Rachel, because Club Asia have done a fantastic job here. We forget that they are a very small club in comparison to the powerhouses of Club Finland, Club Diat, Club UK and Ireland, to the like of Club Brazil. Club Asia are tiny, but you know what? They come up today in the road event. They showed up on their home track, they represented, and they did a sterling job. They must be commended.
Absolutely. Club Asia is definitely the clear second in this one. They were a brilliant performance. They kept themselves clean. And more importantly, compared to the other Central Eastern Europe and France, they didn't fight too hard. They pushed when they had to, and they made sensible decisions. Club Asia, definitely one of the strong ones here today.
Well, there is a look at your top 10 of your final race results from race number 1. Sebastian Job then winning by 7 seconds over Alex Simpson. A top 6 for Club UK and Ireland, then 3 Club Asia drivers in a row, with Takahiro Ishiwaka, Tatsuma Kamuruma, and Chungo Ogara there in P7 through 9. Vid Solomon in P number 10. We head it on back, and you can see that remainder of your result. You see 2 Club France drivers, Central Eastern Europe, then Club France, then Central Eastern Europe, and unfortunately Club Asia at the rear of the field. We're going to step aside for a moment. We're going to talk big picture when we come back, because it's going to be interesting on the oval side, not necessarily for the win, but as to see who gets the point in terms of the wild card. Strategy is important. We'll be right back.
Monza is a very historic track. It's been around since the 20s, and it's gone through several permutations since then. We're also bringing forward a number of configurations. So there's chicanes that they've installed since the track's early days. So they can use original, very high-speed configurations of the track where the cars would just blow through where the chicanes are today, or they could use a more modern version. So it's a pretty cool, compelling track. The unique thing about Monza is it has a road course, but it also has a high-speed oval. And that high-speed oval can be run by itself. The Grand Prix course can be run by itself. And they also can be run together in a combined circuit, which is very unique and special in motorsports. This was one of the more challenging projects that we've undertaken. It was essentially building 2 tracks in one. It took a lot of time and a lot of care was put into it, but we're really happy about the end result and we think that people have a lot of fun driving it.
Welcome back then to Group A of the 2015 World Cup of iRacing here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Don't forget, qualifying has just completed for the 2015 round number 1 Pro Series of Road Racing as 55 drivers start their journey to get themselves a golden ticket in the 2016 World Championship Grand Prix Series. And also, remember, a number of World Championship drivers will be participating in this event over the course of the next 24 hours and also next week as well. In my opinion, personally, a World Championship driver will be the decision maker, and that will be interesting to figure out whether it be like Kronke, like Saputu, will be the decision maker as far as who gets the victory in the road race, at least of the finals. On the oval side, you end up with a stacked field with a couple of World Championship drivers from the NASCAR P Series. Who knows? It could be incredibly interesting. So have a look through your top 10 once again of your road race as we finish off the first part of our coverage here. Sebastian Job leads from Ike Simpson, from Richard Avery, from Jamie Fluke, from Jamie Rushworth, from Rod Reed. 6 Club UK and Ireland drivers. Takahara Ishawaka, then Kazuka Kurima, and then Shigeru Ogawa. They are P7 through 9. Vince Salomon, Club Central Eastern Europe, is in P number 10. Mike Oliwet is still stood by here. Mike, technically 2 races in the books here. Club UK and Ireland have dominated Group A so far. It's a bit of a toss-up between Asia and Central Eastern Europe in terms of the wildcard so far. That will be the story that will go through all the way through the day. Off air, you and I were talking about who that wildcard was going to be. You think it'll be one club. I'll think it'll be a completely different club.
You're right. Should be interesting. I'll have the points here in just a minute, and you're right. Asia and CEE are going to battle it out for second here, which will be fun.
And we for pure journalistic purposes, we're not going to say who we think is going to do what, especially when we involve organisers. But it's going to be incredibly close. But UK and Ireland, they seem to have been the dominant club in Group A so far. The oval race is still to go. And the issue last year, Mike, was the oval race and the momentum coming out of the oval race. Now, what we can say is that I know from the last 1 year that Club UK and Ireland have focused heavily on NASCARs. They're focused heavily on getting their cars working well in the tin tops. And I was actually surprised that Club Finland chose a NASCAR as the oval car, especially realising that it's such a popular thing for drivers on the iRacing.com service. I expected a Silver Crown or an SK Modified or something like that. But a NASCAR for UK and Ireland isn't going to be a bad thing for them. But they cannot be complacent when they get to the second round of events.
Yeah, the times are super close, and in all fairness to Finland, I didn't give them the choice of a Silver Crown or a sprint car or something like that. They had to choose between the A, B, C, and not nationwide car, but the national car, the K&N car.
Nationwide is, of course, on your side, even though they're not the official partner of the Xfinity Series anymore. But it's going to be interesting as far as we go for that side of things, because UK and Ireland look strong, but also we know Central Eastern Europe have got a very strong oval presence, more so than Asia. And the only team that I worry about here is France, because on an IndyCar, on an oval, Club France are very strong. Vortex Sim Racing are one of the biggest pan-European teams in the world for sim racing, and they are exceptional on an oval. But this isn't an IndyCar. This is a NASCAR. So Club France, in my opinion, are going to struggle the hardest, and we got to look at Club Asia versus Club Central Eastern Europe.
Totally agree. Although I think that France will actually score more points in the oval than they did in the road, but that's just a participation thing.
And we've got ourselves, about less than 10 minutes to go before we head ourselves over to the next part of events. You can just have a look there through the drivers from P number 11 through 20. Tristan get there for France, and then Frederick Saint-Denis, of course, he had himself a spin, fell out of the top 10. Dan Garindu there for Central Eastern Europe in P13. Then Thomas Coroni in P number 14 for Central Eastern Europe also. Then Julian Avoni, Solik Gaeton, Dennis Ramuso, and also Stephen Buckade there. Round out your 18 car field. 24 drivers are eligible for each of the splits. And of course, what you've worked on very closely, Mike, is making sure that you get some consistency between those that run in the qualifiers and those that run in the World Cup finals.
Absolutely, that's the key.
The reason for that, of course, is, and just trying to give an explanation, what occasionally happens, some of the powerhouse teams will get themselves into the World Cup final, and of course, when you consider things like the NASCAR Peak Entry Series, powered by iRacing.com, and also the World Championship Grand Prix Series, you have a couple of clubs with a number of big drivers. The situation is they may not be compelled, they may not have the time to run in the qualifiers, but then often they think, oh, okay, we'll just turn up to help our club. That no longer exists. We'll talk about that one a little bit more when we come back. We're going to step aside for a couple of moments. The oval race of the World Cup of iRacing is coming soon as you're watching RaceSpotTV on iRacing Live. Don't forget also, the Pro Series of Road Racing kicks off in just 15 minutes time. A RaceSpotTV doubleheader. We will be right back. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to the World Cup of iRacing here on RaceSpotTV. We're about 4 or 5 minutes away to going to Overland to Homestead Miami Speedway, but Club UK Line were dominant in the first part of this event, and you cannot take that away from that club. The battle now, realistically, is going to be between Club Asia and Club France. Sorry, I'll take that back again. Club Central Eastern Europe to see who will be the best of the rest. We'll get a point in a moment's time, but first I'm going to hoodwink Club Captain for Club UK Ireland, Mr. Matthew Dalton. You cannot be any more impressed by your club's performance so far. Matthew Dalton is so excited, he is speechless as we speak right now. So we'll come back to him in a moment's time.
Sorry.
There we are, Matt. How you doing?
I am excited, massively so. So much so that I'm still frantically just juggling who's going in what split and things like that. So
crazy time for you right now. Before we let you go, one quick question. Oval, are you as confident on the oval as you are on the road course?
Yes.
There we are. So Matt Dalton thinks that Club UK Ireland will be strong again on the road, on the ovals even. And don't forget, the overall point total has had an impact on who has been the World Cup champion when all was said number 4. Not because of the fact that he carried things over, but because of the intimidation factor of this event. Mike Arlouet is in the moment of setting stuff up for group number B, so the second of our events here today. That'll be an oval race at Homestead Miami Speedway, where once again, the 4 clubs that we saw earlier in the road course event will take part on a battle, but this time on an oval. Club Asia, representing much of Eastern Asia, will be taking part there in that second event. And also, we'll have ourselves Central Eastern Europe. We'll have ourselves Club France and Club UK and Ireland. So spanning over 4 time zones. Group A here. Don't forget, group number B later on today will be broadcast by GTR Live with Club DH, with Club Scandinavia, Club Florida, and the West Racing Club. Group C with Global Sim Racing Channel will be from 10 PM GMT. Club Finland, Club Australia, New Zealand, Club Iberia, and Club Texas. That is your must-watch event later on today, as the Global Sim Racing Channel do yourselves an amazing double-header worth of coverage. And then Group D will be Northwest versus Canada versus Carolina versus New York as we round out our event. We'll have ourselves the 4 teams participating, the 5 teams participating in the 2015 World Cup of iRacing event at about 4:45 AM GMT tomorrow. We'll have ourselves the 4 teams participating, the 5 teams participating in the 2015 World Cup of iRacing finals. And Mike, even though Club UK and Ireland look as though they might have the advantage heading into the ovals, we know anything can happen in this series. And I'm looking at the other 3 groups to come, and they also are incredibly close.
That they have, so I would be massively shocked, would be an understatement, if they did anything silly in the oval race. But as you said, anything can happen. Yeah, they absolutely are. And I've got the points here, which I'll go over in just a second with you. But UK and I, is one of the things I'm impressed about them is the teamwork that they have. So I would be massively shocked, would be an understatement, if they did anything silly in the oval race. But as you said, anything can happen.
We've seen it before, we will likely see it again here in the World Cup of iRacing. It's one of the craziest events of the year. So what we've got to pay attention to is Club UK and Ireland hold on and make sure they round themselves up to be the top team in group number A here today. Then for the rest of the clubs, you got to think different things. Can we get some of the other teams and drivers into a position that they can get themselves a wild card? We'll find that one out over the course of the next couple of hours here on iRacing Live. We are going to step aside, but we'll be right back after these messages.
Yes, it all starts here. It's opening day for the Verizon IndyCar Series.
From St. Petersburg, Florida, new cars, some new faces, and an old solid group of veterans and winners.
Get ready, stay with them here.
They call it the Valley of the Sun. They're running laps at 155 miles an hour.
Front row.
Long Beach, California, a beautiful destination city with a huge sandy beach, great marinas, cruise ships, and once a year the Verizon IndyCars.
The spectacular undulating Barber Motorsports Park Indy Grand Prix of Alabama.
The acceleration begins.
The new champion of the Grand Prix of Indianapolis is...
Everyone wants to win. Only one will.
And with those millions watching around the world.
By the way, it's the biggest race of your lives, gentlemen.
Here in the Motor City, in the first of the duel in Detroit.
Business is picking up at turn 7 at Belle Isle. And the green flag waves at Texas Motor Speedway.
All right, let's go.
Wheel to wheel at 210 miles an hour.
And Honda versus Chevy.
Green flag in the air. Sebastian Bourdais is the leader.
In the core of America's heartland is a tiny track that packs a speedy IndyCar punch like no other.
Green, green, green.
Well, let's go racing in Iowa.
He needs a penalty.
This is Indy Toronto and the green flag flies.
Where he's making a move, but he's going to make him go to the wet.
Deep into turn 3. And maybe turn 8.
Welcome to the Buckeye State. Drivers, start your engines!
There is a giant crowd at Mid-Ohio Sports Car Course.
All right, that's it. That's it. Excellent job, young man. Excellent job. You won Mid-Ohio.
The tricky triangle is definitely very tricky.
Look at this pack now.
He's not giving him anything. That's how you're supposed to race.
Over Labor Day weekend of 2016, we will welcome and host the Grand Prix of Austin.
It's the Indy Grand Prix of Sonoma. It's the championship decider. It's time to bring the action.
Race fans, there they are.
quote Rick Musburger, you are looking live in Florida, Homestead Miami Speedway, as we welcome you to the first over round of the 2015 World Cup of iRacing. We are at the track that will, in a couple of weeks' time, host the final round of the NASCAR Sprint Cup Series, where a champion will be decided. Here today, we are on the road doing the same thing, deciding a champion. As four clubs: Club UK and Ireland, Club Central Eastern Europe, Club Asia, and Club France will do battle here at this racetrack. Let's ride on board then with some drivers as they get themselves ready to race here at Homestead. Well, we saw that Club UK and Ireland were exceptional on the road course. They look as though they will do exactly the same here again. They've got themselves at least your top 5 drivers who are leading the way in terms of qualifying. Club Asia with Akira Okada up there, spoiling the party to make it another top 6 lockout. With Jake Forrester on track right now. Let's have a look as he heads himself down. He's completed his lap. So actually, P number 7 is all Jake Forrester can do. So that means for the first time in this event, we have not got ourselves a top 6 lockout by your Club UK and Ireland driver. As they can see, the hashtag free Matt Dollar General car. Let's not comment upon the intricacies on that one there. But Mike, it's nice to see a Club UK and Ireland driver knowing enough about NASCAR to actually talk about a situation involving a NASCAR driver. Mike is silent for probably good reason right now.
Oh, sorry. What was that, Will?
I was going to say, it's very nice to see with the number 44 machine. It's interesting to see a free match hashtag car there on the Dollar General machine. It's interesting to see a Club UK and Ireland driver so in tune there with the events of NASCAR. We always talk about NASCAR being a US sport, but actually, one thing that iRacing does is it gets people interested in other forms of sport. And in this case, so much so that they know about the fact that Matt Kenseth obviously is in the doghouse as far as NASCAR is concerned.
I love it. Somebody has a free matte paint scheme. That's fantastic.
Number 18 double mint machine there, also Sahel Mustang there. These guys are just doing laps at this stage of the day. Let's run yourself through your qualifying grid then for your event, as Rob Reed technically is on track, but he's not going to do any faster than he is already, as he's on his out lap on what is his final lap of this event. So your final qualifying grid here for your second session and your oval session of the World Cup of iRacing Group A here on RaceSpotTV. Well, as your top 10, row number 1 will involve Rob Reed and Sahel Mustang there, the Club UK and Ireland, followed up by Aaron Sparrow and Matthew Dalton. Row number 3, it's not a Club UK and Ireland lockout, it is Doug Pickering, and then Akira Okada for Club Asia, Jake Forrester in P7 for Club UK and Ireland, then Francis Tashidi there in the outside of row number 4 for Club France. Comme on sait ici pour Benjamin Truffaut, And then also on the outside of row number 5, it's Atura Onya for Club Asia. Club Central Eastern Europe don't have anyone inside your top 10, but then they got themselves 5 guys inside your top 10 chain. You've got Dennis Ruskamov in P11, Lucas Zernik there in P12, Martin Kappel in P16, Anders Slantins in P17, and Vince Solomon and Marit O'Conrack there in the 19th position. You see a mixture of Club Asia drivers and Club France drivers also running at your top 20. 22 drivers taking the field here today. Patrice Languette and Jonathan Berkhammer there at the rear of your field. Cool Club Français aujourd'hui. 22 drivers then on this starting grid, and we will get ourselves drivers on track in just a moment's time for the race, which will take place here, of course, on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. Before we get to the event, we'll have a chat to Mike. We'll step aside though. We'll let you stay side by side as guys will head themselves to the starting grid. We'll be back in just 1 moment's time.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.com.
Cars are set here at Homestead Miami Speedway as they get ready to go racing at the oval portion of the 2015 group stage for the World Cup of iRacing. Don't forget, if you're after the Pro Series of Road Racing, it is live on iRacing Live right now. So you can go over and check out that one. That race has actually just started. So go and check out Johnny and the gang. It looks like it's going to be Johnny and Woody there for the coverage of that one here on iRacing Live. As we have a look then, our first look at these guys head themselves on their warm-up lap. One more cycle then through your starting grid coming up on your screens right now. Rubber Reed, pole position, cycle Mustang alongside him. We'll cycle it through as quickly as we can. Notice that Akihiro Okada broke up the party for the club UK and Ireland. Jake Forrester down in P number 7. Some very good drivers through this field as they head themselves now down from the greatest open wheel or NASCAR circuit. It's a track that hosts the Homestead 400, the Ford EcoBeast 400, and of course this track is legendary for Tony Stewart's 2011 run, overtaking over 100 cars on the way to a championship. Lights are off on top of the pace car. Let's listen in then as we kick things off here for the second round of our event here today. Green flag on the air. Oh, trouble on the racetrack there. 2 cars involved in an incident there. As we're going to have a look at one of them. That's the number 31 machine there. Osatory, Ohio. We stay green. And that is Doug Pickering in the Club UK and Ireland car also involved. But these guys are trying to get themselves settled down. And well, things are just a little bit busy on the racetrack right now. As we are going to just try to get our scoring issue sorted out. There we are. Osatory on note though right now. As you can see him in the number 31 machine. He has had himself an incident on lap number 1. Trying to figure out who else was involved in that one. But out front, you got yourself Rob Reed leading the way for Club UK and Ireland. So have a look to the rear of that race car. As we see right now, he's got himself the double mint Camaro machine, the number 18 car right there behind him as they head themselves down in towards turn number 1. Once again, the Club UK and Ireland driver in 3rd and 4th also. Jake Forrester has actually moved himself up into a top 6 position. So Club UK and Ireland, they lead the entire group of people as we see on your screen. So UK and Ireland, P1 through 6, then France, then Asia. As you complete that number 3 of 90. The good thing about this race is we are green for the start of this event. So no need to worry about early cautions being a factor. And a long run car here at Homestead is one that these guys are hoping to look forward to. So here we are then, lap number 4 going to be scored complete in just 1 moment of time. Running ourselves along board now with Lucas Sermonek there, as he's going to try and look down to the inside on the number 5 machine of Kota Miya. This is for P number 11 on track. As the number 17 car can't do so. The interesting thing about this racetrack is the inside line, well, that's arguably the slowest. It's actually lanes number 2 and number 3 that you want to be involved in. A bit like Michigan International Raceway. But it looks as though that Schoeneck there will take the inside line. You'll notice that it'll probably drift up across the racetrack here. So we've got our 360 cam working in full gear. And indeed, Lucas Schoeneck there drifting high, moving himself up 1 position. In the 5 car of Kota Moya, not able to do anything at this stage of the event. Out front though, Club UK and Ireland, they are dominating all the way through the field. Sasha Mustak in P2, Aaron Sparrow in P number 3 right now, separated by a quarter of a second. But here is the thing worth thinking about. It is not P2 to P3. It is from P number 7 through to P number 8, as we see it right now. And that is Benjamin Rufflander to Jake Forrester. It is 6/10 of a second. As we're going to have a look on board then with Jake Forrester. And there is the gap behind to Benjamin Rufflander in the number 92 car. France trying to hunt down Club UK and Ireland. It was 7 of 90 laps to be scored complete this time by. So the first part of this race has been green. We often see one or two things here in the World Cup of iRacing. We're going to bring Mike Ollett back into conversation here. You often see, Mike, either a caution fest race or a green pretty much race the entire way. It looks as though we may well get the latter of this. One driver out of the race, that is Francis Shili there in the number 22 machine, as he is on pit road right now. But for the most part, it's been a very clean start to this event.
Yeah, I expect the oval races to be very clean in this stage, with the groups separated like they are, clear number ones in each group, etc. Not a lot to gain by taking too much risk. It's next week that mayhem could ensue.
As you say, we're just having a look there as these guys come back plus stop on this line. There you can see lap number 10 already of 91.9. Race system is going to be scored complete this time by. And there is Tahoe Mustang versus Aaron Masparo. This is for P number 2 and 3 in the field. But we want to have a look back further for you, Phil. This is more interesting. This is Lucas Samek versus Kota Maya. Once again, the gap between these two drivers, well, it's 0.2 of a second. Central Eastern Europe versus Club Asia, down towards turn number 3 and 4. Once again, let's have a look from the rear then of that driver, running themselves in P number 11. That is Lucas Zurnek right now, and there is Kota Moya right now, just behind. Let's ride a lap on board with him. You will notice there as we go down the straightaway, we just missed it on our screen there, but you'll notice the little black tape there. That comes down to how much tape these guys are running on this track to see if they can get themselves additional downforce. And you can see there, down to the inside, Wugo Muya. He looks as though he will have the inside line and he will get himself past in towards turn number 3 and 4. Number 5 machine down to the inside and past up into P number 11 now. Let's see whether the driver of Semek will be able to come past. No, not at this stage. Club Japan, sorry, Club Asia with one up over Club Central Eastern Europe. Down towards turn 1 they come again. And I was trying to show you that on the front end of that car. We'll try and see if we can see it there from the rear of Moya. You'll notice the fact that they have themselves some tape on the front end of that grille. The reason why is to help downforce and help speed of that car, but at the same time you've got to be careful. Too much tape and you'll end up getting yourself an engine that overheats. No air getting to the engine means more likely to spontaneously combust, and that is one thing that these guys have got to have to balance over the course of this event. Rob Reed leads the way right now. It's 2 Club Yukon Island drivers leading, with Rob Reed of a 1.1 second advantage over Tahoe Mustang. We head ourselves further back and you can see that you got yourself Aaron Masparo in P number 3. P number 4 is going to go to Doug Pickering, and P5 to Matthew Dalton, Club Yukon Island captain, as it stands in this event. 15 of 90 laps scored complete. We'll take you side by side for just one moment. We'll be back after this brief message.
Yes.
Our first caution of the day. You saw it live on RaceSpotTV side by side. Involved this driver, the number 31 machine. We're going to get ourselves a replay of that one. But our first caution of the day at the conclusion of lap number 19 of 90 here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Let's have a look then and see what happened. The 31 car there. Oh, that's Asia hitting it out there with Central Eastern Europe. Horrible shame there for the number 31 car. The Asia car came across him by the looks of it. And it looks as though their day is done. Let's get ourselves one more look if we can. Try and figure the situation out in super slow-mo. And the number 4 machine is the driver we're being told is involved in this one. And that, there we can see, we're going to slow it down and show you the incident from here on in. Exit of the corner, getting loose, get tagged there by Central Eastern Europe. Then turning into the car, another car. I mean, well, that is just like a ping pong moment there, and it looks as though out of it, Central Eastern Europe are the ones that come down the worst. But now, all these guys, 20 of 90 complete, on towards pit road. Your top 6 drivers are Rob Reed from Sahel Mustak, from Aaron Aspire, from Doug Pickering, from Matthew Dawson, from Jake Forrester. Yes, that is Club UK and Ireland domination out front. But we want to know what is going to happen behind. Some very close battles. We'll turn our camera back to these guys as they are going to exit pit road in 1 moment's time. We'll run for your top 10 in just 10 seconds time. Who's going to come out first? Who will be next? And side by side, out towards pit road, all the way through your field, including Club UK and Ireland drivers. This is where things could well get interesting. Who wants it the most, but who wants to play the teamwork game? It's going to be Rob Reed from Mustat, from Masparo, from Dalton, from Pickering, then Forrester, then Frothander, then Maya, O'Gara, and Bertha. They are your top 10. You'll see that on the left-hand side of your screen right now. There you can see your top 10 as it stands before pit stops. And it looks as though that we're going to have ourselves a couple of changes as we come past the start-finish line. So we'll figure out who is going to be your leaders. On the left-hand side of your screen, there you can see it will change the next time the guys come past the start-finish line. Apologies there for the little graphical mess up. But Reed lead, Mustak second, Sparrow in third. Guys still coming out of pit road. Gonna welcome back Mike Owelet there. 20 laps always before we had ourselves a caution, Mike, and that in itself is impressive. But now we've got to avoid the cautions breed caution situation.
That's right, and it's UKNI's best. It is in UKNI's best interest to keep it clean, keep all their drivers going so they don't have any mess ups. But I will say Club France seems to be establishing themselves as the top second place team, at least in the second split, and it sounded like the same was possibly true from the first split.
And the issue of that is that in the first split, it did seem to be that for a time that Club Central Eastern Europe were going to be out front. I talked previously about people taking points off of each other. This could well be the downfall of both Club Central Eastern Europe and Club France, and that you haven't got a clear dominant second place team.
Yep, that's exactly right. That is exactly right.
As we've got ourselves the Power Raid number 9 machine, for example, Jonathan Bertha. He is running for Club France, and you can see that you've got yourself a Club H driver just ahead of him. That's number 24 machine, is Sigurd O'Gara. And then Martin, a couple there for Central Eastern Europe. It's very close. In 3 clubs, but 1 club is dominating out front. And that is Club UK and Ireland as they continue ahead. 23 of 90 laps scored complete. Lights are off on top of the gold iRacing.com safety car as we promote their child cancer research for iRacing. It's been going on. It's going to go on all season long, as not only do we raise money, but we raise awareness as well. And it's great to see that iRacing.com putting out the gold iRacing.com pace car for the course of this season. 23 of 90 laps will be scored complete the next time the guys come past the start-finish line. It will be Rob Reed and Sahel Mustak out front. We've got ourselves 20 of 22 drivers still in this event. We're going to ride on board and experience the sights and sounds of Homestead Miami Speedway as these guys go back green. (11.9) side by side through turn number 1, almost 3 wide. Down the back straight away they go, as we got ourselves a nice scrap going on between the club number 9 machine, Club France, and also club number 11. As we go through turn number 3 and 4, that's France versus Central Eastern Europe there. Bertha behind Capo, but they're side by side. P10 and Caution out once again. So Caution is out once again. And that is at the rear of your field. You can see there the wreckage. And I think this involves more Asian drivers than anything else. There, Team Turkey Motorsports involved. That is for Club Asia. What a shame for some of these drivers. Let's get ourselves another look at this one then. Try and figure out what it is before we do any speculation. 3 wide in towards turn number 3 and 4. A hit between the 12 and the 66 cars as they come through turn number 3 and 4. They hit again. They do hit again. And that's what caused the issue. 4 drivers involved at the end. 64 machine involved. We got ourselves the number 93 car involved as well for Club France. That is Patrice Languet in the National Guard number 93 Superman car. Also number 12 car of Gaten involved in that one. And Takehara Ishiwaka from the 64 machine has been involved in that incident. Mike, that is exactly what we didn't want to see, because 2 of the teams that were trying to get to the wildcard position, well, they've just lost a couple of their drivers.
Yep, devastating. Absolutely devastating.
Let's have a look then as we go back to live pictures here from Homestead Miami Speedway, and out front there is a number 64 car on pit road, but classified as already 1 lap down. Here is then Rob Reed as we're cycling it through. We have just then lost a bit of our footage. We're going to try and get back to live. Here we are. As 22 car stays out, Sahel Mustak stays out, Matthew Dalton stays out. And before that caution, Mike, you gave us some totals of points as they stand so far, not just in this split, but overall in this event. WK Ireland leading the way with 686 points, but Asia ahead of Central Eastern Europe.
They are 456 to 386, and France sitting there at 210. But like I said, France is kind of messing up the plans of those second place teams in this oval race, so it's not looking good for those bottom 3.
Is that going to be a difference maker, do you think? The fact that France are stronger on the oval, and therefore they have the ability to get in the mix of people like Central Eastern Europe and a Club Asia, to mean that we don't have a dominant second place team coming out of heat number 1.
Absolutely. I think that Florida and Texas and Iberia and Australia should all be breathing a sigh of relief right now and rooting for France big time.
Well, we'll see if people root for France. They continue to root for France. Lap number 29 of 90 will be score complete the next time they come past start finish line. We are still under caution here at Homestead. We'll be back in a moment's time. Welcome back. Lights are off on top of the iRacing.com. First safety car. We are ready to go racing one more time. Club Beacon Island still lead the way as we bring you back to RaceSpotTV. Green Flag Racing. We see Green Flag Racing here. As you see, lap number 33 of 90 will be scored complete this time by Benjamin Fruitlander there, battling it out for P number 8, 9, 10 on track as he still goes side by side there with Jonathan Berthiner, and that's for Club France also. But you've got yourselves right now a situation where Club France, Club Asia, Club Central Eastern Europe are so closely separated on the track that they are hurting each other's point as far as it goes right now. So we look down at P number 10 versus P number 11. These guys are pretty much side by side. They've been side by side ever since the drop of the green flag, and they are scrapping right now. Two Central Eastern Europe drivers behind them as well. On board with the number 24 machine, of course, so famously known by Jeff Gordon. So many NASCAR fans are looking to see that number 24 car coming to Victory Road in just a couple of weeks' time for the final race of his career. Into turn 3 and 4, you're going to see the iRacing.com blimp on the outside line there as Agara still runs himself in P number 11 on track. On the left hand side of your screen, your biggest movers and shakers in the race so far. Look at P number 8, Jonathan Bertha. What a drive he's had here today as well. We start this race down in P number 19, up into P number 7 as his highest place. But Bertha from France is trying to hold on to that dream. A bad qualifying, but still running strong as he's going to move himself up further as it stands right now. You see he's ahead of a little pack of drivers. Got himself number 9 machine, Powerade car of Karen Moya right up behind him as they go for P numbers 8 and P9 on track. Take it back, there you can see it is the driver, number 11 machine, the Club Central Eastern Europe car of Martin Capel, running himself in the 10th position in the number 11 car, getting close to halfway distance then of the first oval race of the World Cup of iRacing. Don't forget, later on today, GTR Racing are going to do something. We're going to have ourselves also GSRC, the Global Sim Racing Channel. They will do a double header of the World Cup of iRacing next week. We'll be live here to do the finals of the World Cup of iRacing. But Martin Capel there, running P number 10, trying to close up to the rear. Tyres are starting to go down a little bit. We're seeing this be a common trend. But let's have a look down at P3 through 4 because it's so close right now. On board We're the driver of Aaron Maspero, because he is really being hassled by his teammates right now. There's Matthew Dalton and Doug Pickering right behind him. In fact, there's 4 Club Econ Island drivers nose to tail right now. 41 of 90 laps is going to be scored complete this time by behind Martin Capel versus the driver of Agora. Looks as though that one is going to be a very close battle. These guys will likely still have to make a pit stop at some point in time. It'll be fascinating to see what this one is going to be. Going to bring Mike Ottaway back into the conversation in just one moment's time, as we're getting close to halfway in the second part of Group A here. And Mike, it's interesting to note that Club Econ Island are so dominant here in this event. Now, that's not me being a Club Econ Island fanboy by being a Club Econ Island driver, but the stats themselves are outstanding. One of the most dominant performances we have seen in World Cup history.
Yep, they're on a historic pace. I will say that when you look at the times that each of the clubs was putting down in the qualifier last week, UKNI, DH, and Finland were all very close. So I would expect that this will translate well into next week for them, but they are putting it on big time.
Another situation is going to be for this club that comes home in second. What do? Do they get prepared already, or is this in some ways the second place group of death? As by the way, the number 24 machine there of Agara moves himself past Martin Capel, so there you can see a change of position inside your top 20. That's for P number 11 and P number 12, and just behind them, by the way, you got yourself Torres Araya and Dennis Rumanoff. But the second place team right here, they seem to be in the most difficult situation, because clubs 2, 3, 4 seem to be actually very closely on the oval.
Yeah, they are very close, and I don't know who's going to take second in the group. And I always feel bad for the Group A second place finisher, because they have to wait nearly 24 hours to find out their fate.
At that point, of course, we know that it is Asia who are leading the way out of the second place group with 456 points, compared to the 686 points Club Econ Island and the 386 points for Club Central Eastern Europe. Final question at this stage, Mike. People forget about the second place points. Do you think that maybe we might try and see a team try to engineer something to their advantage in this group stage?
From the first place team engineering something?
Yes.
Heck, I wouldn't put anything past anybody. You want to get any advantage you can going into the finals, and you might want to, some teams might want to face an oval heavy team, and other teams might want to face a road heavy team. So you never know.
We'll find out over the course not only of this broadcast, but also later on today. 3 more group broadcasts to go. Mike, this might be the last time we talk to you before we say goodbye to you, but let's not forget there are 3 incredible broadcasters doing their stuff for you today, of course. We've got ourselves here at RaceSpotTV, and we've got 2 other broadcasters doing their stuff. And it's just very quick, we are going to have to step aside. Brief technical issue. We'll be back in just 1 moment's time. We are under caution here at Homestead Miami Speedway. Club Beacon Island is still lead out front. We'll get you the information that we need as soon as we possibly can. We do apologise for the issues that we just had here on RaceSpotTV and on iRacing Live. It's an ironic thing, actually, Mike, that we were talking about the people who are helping to broadcast the 2015 iRacing.com World Cup of iRacing, and then RaceSpotTV decided that he wanted to go down. But we got ourselves 3 great broadcasters who are doing themselves a lot of hard, arduous work throughout the course of the group stages. Of course, the finals will be here on RaceSpotTV in just 1 week's time.
Yep, and I can't thank you guys enough. RaceSpot has always been at the forefront and done a ton of work for the World Cup, so Will, personally, I appreciate it very much. And then we got GTR Live doing Group B, and as you mentioned before, GSRC doing Groups C and D.
Yeah, that'll be a double header for GSRC later on, so shout out to both of all those guys. GTR Live, they'll be bringing you coverage of the second part of this 4-part journey of the World Cup of iRacing a little bit later on today. Their coverage will start at 5 p.m. 5 p.m. German time, so that's actually not far away from now. 1 hour's time, Group B will kick off. And that will be Club Diat and Club Scandinavia, Club West Racing Club, and also Club Florida. And from a personal level, keep an eye out on Club Florida, because in my opinion, we'll see them in 1 week's time. Then also, 10 p.m. GMT, midnight Helsinki time, we'll have ourselves Club Finland versus Club Australia. That's Club Iberia versus Club Texas. Then, Group D will be Northwest, Canada, New York, and Carolina. That will be all live on the Global Sim Racing channel. These guys do an incredible job. Stick with them throughout the course of the evening. We are ready to go back to racing here. Our aerial coverage here today is brought to you by And1 Design. They are the official graphics partner of RaceSpotTV as we get ourselves a look high above as these guys are ready to go racing once again. There we are then. Pace car lights are off. These guys are lined up 2 by 2. We will go back to racing at Homestead Miami Speedway. 54, 55 of 90 are scored complete. Berthia there past the driver of Rumersmov up into P7. Your top 6 drivers are still Rob Reed, Alan Asparo, Doug Pickering, Benjamin Fuffmeider, and Jake Forrester. That is still an all-club UK and Ireland run out front, as we see there, number 44 car. Someone evidently there is not happy with what happened to the driver of Matt Kenseth just 1 week ago. There you can see him. Pretty Matt. Not the general. Except he's running the number 44 car and not number 20 machine. That would have been more fun if he did that. There you can see there. Free Matt, Dollar General, number 44 car. There we are. That's all we're going to do and talk about that driver. I can't offer any opinion if you're not allowed to. Dennis Rusganov, however, he's down to the inside. Number 1 machine and the 5 car in towards turn number 1. And there you see the perfect example of why the line does not always work at Homestead Miami Speedway. It is parabolic banking. 18 degrees at the bottom, 20 degrees up top. As we see 2-wide racing as well between the number 44 machine and the number 92 car side by side through turn number 3 and 4. And the winner of that one will be the number 44 machine. Benjamin the Truffle after there being just shuffled back a position, but he's going to try and look down to the inside. Once again, getting himself a little bit of a push in towards turn 1. The Club France car there trying to do all he can to gain points in this series right now. And points mean everything at this stage of this event. We'll bring Mike Olet back into the conversation in a moment's time. That number 58 of 90 will be score complete. There are your top 8 and their clubs. UK and Ireland, well, they have the top 5 and then P number 8 right now. They will not get themselves P1 through 6 as it stands. 2 Club France drivers in the way. One thing I've noticed though, Mike, is that the Club France drivers are fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, and you'll see that among the teams that aren't necessarily as strongly organized. They sometimes forget this is a team battle, and where you finish individually doesn't really matter.
It's interesting to note the different strategies between some of these clubs and some of these teams. And of course, I've been a member of one club for the entire time I've been on iRacing. And it's interesting to note that when I first joined, it was still the same thing with the club for most years, that I was told it's whoever is the best on the day will use those. In some cases, it's a case of whoever's done the most participation that gets a shot to run first, and it's their choice if they want to keep up their position. But number 18 with 44 versus 92, down in towards 3 and 4 once again. In front, you've got yourself Doug Pickering under pressure, but this is Club UK Island versus Club UK Island right now. These guys don't need to fight at all in this event. We've got a side-by-side though between Pickering and Forrester by the looks of it. Through turn number 1 they come. Having a look from the rear then of the driver of Jake Forrester. These guys do not need to fight through P4, P35, through P number 6 right now. That's through P5. I do apologise for that one. Got my words muddled up just a little bit. But out front, Rob Reed still leads the way by almost 1 second on track now. And that in itself is pretty exceptional. Back in the pack though, Martin Capo versus Vince Solomon. This has been brewing for the last couple of laps. On board now with the driver of Martin C. Capo. Oh, touch the wall there for Capo. He's up high. He's into the wall. And will he be able to carry on? He's lost himself 2 positions already. I'll bring Mike Oliver back into the conversation there. It's these moments that define a club's entire championship.
No, they certainly do. You can't afford to do that and expect to move on.
On board, let's have a second look then. On board with Capo. Engine note, let's listen to this and figure out what he did down towards turn number 3 and 4. Well, there you are. There's Capo. He's down to P number 14 right now. As we'll have a look again at the top 8 as they stand. Club UK Island leading. They got your top 5 positions. Club France, P6 and 7. Club UK Island and P number 8. No Central Eastern European. No other Club Asia drivers involved in the mix as well. We are down realistically to 2 clubs. Split number 2, Mike, I know you've been looking at it. Is there any differences there from split number 1?
No, it's the same. You got UK and I's sweeping the top 5, and France has 3 of the next 5.
Well, with less than 30 laps to go, it is getting into the position where we might as well start thinking that Club UK and Ireland are going to be in the 2015 World Cup of iRacing finals. But let's consider also who's going to be the wild card. Would it be Club France? Would it be Club Central Eastern Europe or Club Asia? Realistically, at this stage, it's Club France. But have they got enough of a point swing to avoid Club B and Club D? Because we always said, like, Group C, whoever wins that one's through, whoever's not through. But realistically, you won't get enough points. But Group D and Group E, they may well be people to mention later on, put side by side behind as well. Matthew Dalton, Jonathan Baffner there, and that is, well, Club UK and I'm thinking it's okay. You can get past me if you want to. I don't need to fight too hard. But both of them are there behind Matthew Dalton with less than 20 laps to go in this event. Here we are then. Out front, Rob Reed still has a 1 second advantage over Aaron Sparrow. This is the number 22 versus number 41 car, Salvo Mustang in number 3. Then you got yourself P4, Doug Pickering, and then Jake Forrester. No real battles actually going on track right now. Racing number 12 through 13, separated by half a second. This is an interesting one in some ways. This is the driver of Sigo Ora versus Martin Kappel. This is 0.6 of a second, as actually we've got a car onto pit road there. That is Kappel on towards pit road. A late point to see anyone try and come on towards pit road, but these guys got to do. They've got to do that. And the number 11 car, the first to blink for a potential second round. No, actually no. I take this back. His first round of pit stops today here. Oh, Mike. Under caution, you should always pick in this type of race. And Kappel, that number 11 car, really hurts in Eastern Europe now.
Strategy's everything, and on a track like Homestead, the tires go away so fast. You got to manage them throughout the day. So yeah, you need them every chance you can get.
Well, there you can see the pit stop time for the driver of Martin Kappel. It's a long stop there, so probably damage to that race car as well that we haven't yet seen. We'll try and figure out what the damage could be to that race car as we have a look then on board of it from the rear. And yeah, that car is on for what I classify as a long time. So evidently you hit the wall on the outside. 42 seconds pit stop then. In 2010, Will Power from the Verizon IndyCar Series hit the outside wall and his day was done. Today, the day for Kappel may have ended Central Eastern Europe's opportunity to get themselves in a World Cup final. Rob Rees still leads away from Aramis Barrow. We're going to stake you side by side for just one moment. We'll be right back.
Simulated racing can be awesome, but it can also be kind of a free-for-all. Interestingly, auto racing faced the same problem in its earlier days. Whether it was on the back roads, the beaches, or the city streets, the racing was fun. But there was always a certain level of chaos and danger, until some folks came along and put some order to all of this. Stuff like official racetracks, regulations about weight and equipment, and enforcement of standards. That's what gave us high-speed excitement, fast-paced action, and photo finishes. That's when racing became racing. The guys over at iRacing.com have made the same transformation in the world of sim racing. Sure, they've got the most accurate tracks and realistic cars out there, but that's just the start. See, iRacing analyzes the performance and results of each driver in every race, so you can be sure you're always placed in races where the competition will be tight, and that those reckless drivers who ruin it for us all are kept in the pits. Not to mention that with over 45,000 active members already in their vast community, you can find races day and night, so you can always get in on the action. You can even join a league of your favorite series. And since updates are always automatic, you don't have to worry about software and can focus on the track. Zip up your fire suit and check out iRacing.
kick candy. What a move. Truex on the outside, contact made. 56 slides it into 4. Who's going to be at the stripe? Dead even. Give it to Ryan Truex. Truex is your winner over Tandy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back here to the first of 4 rounds of the 2015 World Cup of iRacing. Don't forget, if you want some open world racing, head yourselves over to iRacing Live, where the 2015 Pro Series of Road Racing is in high gear right now. The first round of the championship is being won by Graham Carroll for Friction Racing, and in terms of the 2015 World Cup of iRacing, is all been about Club UK and Ireland. So, let's look at your top 10 on screen once again. Led by right now with Matthew Dolson. Matt, I've got to be, as a journalist, as a commentator, as a presenter, completely impartial. But when I see you have top 6 in both the oval and the road course, I have nothing else I can say except for what a dominant performance.
Yeah, I think that's more than reward for the guys and how hard they've all worked, and everybody in the club that's come along and put any effort in the last couple of weeks. I think that's testament to them, really, and hopefully it makes a bit of a statement for the finals. We're not here to make up the numbers this year. That is not the intention. We're coming.
Now, I said to you before the start of this broadcast, I have you ranked 3rd out of all the clubs on iRacing in terms of my power indexes and everything else. You're going to disagree with me after this, aren't you?
Maybe not. No, I'm not sure. I think you do have to say Finland are probably the clear favourites, because they always are. They've just got so much strength and depth that they're always right up there, and they've got a really good club and they work really well together and everything else. I think there is probably an absolute cigarette paper between us and Diach in 2nd or 3rd. I don't think there's an awful lot in it, but we've worked hard all year and for the last 18 months and more, pulling the club together, trying to pull as many people together as we can, and we know where our strengths and our weaknesses are traditionally, and we've worked hard on them. We've got as many quick guys as we can get on the road. We've always done okay on the road side, but we've worked as a club massively hard on oval, and I think that is starting to really show in this, and I think that's always been our big weakness, that this time shouldn't be the case.
Now, in my opinion, again, to compound that, this is the greatest the club's been since 2010, when they couldn't compete in the World Cup of iRacing. But you talk about that cigarette paper between yourself and Diach, and I want to focus on the oval, because it always seems to be the thing with UK and Ireland is that a lot of UK and Ireland drivers do oval racing, but they don't do it at the very top of their game. Top 6 of this split has shown that you got some very good guys, including, of course, yourself. Rob Reed, Aaron Rasparo, for example, great performances by them, and there's some depth that we see. I mean, the fact that Jake Forrester, an oval racer, came home in P5 on a split dominated by UK and Ireland drivers is in itself a statement of an intent.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, and not only that, I've got to say it was really, really tough making the call of who was in split 1, who was in split 2. There's a number of other guys there. We have Alex Simpson, who's still possibly to come in on the oval side. We've still got Josh Drinkwater, who may be available next week. It was really difficult picking 16 in the end, or picking 12 that we had in the end with reserves of everybody that we had running. So it's not just the top 6 in this split either. The guys that we've got in split 2 are running the same sort of times as us in practice, pushing really hard, coming through quickly, and we've got guys hitting above 4,000 I rating, working up through that regularly, and a group of us in a team that race regularly in open and official and things as well. So it's building momentum, and that's starting to become a bit clear.
Now, before we let you go, I want to ask you a quick question about next week. Because we know that you guys have punched your ticket, but we've got ourselves still 3 events to go. And in my opinion, it's not necessarily the group winners. In my opinion, is something that is going to be, in 3 of the 4 cases, almost academic. It's going to be the wild card. Do you think the wild card will determine the World Cup final next week?
Oh. Picking a wild club card out of that is going to be really difficult. I don't think it's going to come from Group A, much as I think Asia, France and Central Eastern Europe have all got good drivers. I just think numbers are going to kill them. I don't think they've got enough in, and that's a real shame. Scandinavia are going to be up there. Florida are going to be up there. They're a good club. They're a quick team. Texas, if they get their guys out, you know, we don't know where they could be. Australia could push into that spot. New York, Carolina, tough, really, really tough. I don't know who to pick as the wild card, and I don't even know who to pick as the group winners, to be honest. Finland, if there's any complacency in Finland at all in that group, they are in for a battle on their hands. They get all their best guys out. Yeah, they get all their best guys out. No question, they can win that group, and they can win the whole tournament. If there's any complacency in the club about whether or not, you know, we win it every year, anytime they take their foot off the gas whatsoever, somebody could easily sneak past them.
And I think in that case, the road race will really set the stage, but the over race will determine who's the best on that one. Because I think that Iberia versus Finland will be very close in terms of the road race. No offense to either of the other 2 clubs. I think that Aussie New Zealand will be right up there. But it'll be a clear case for the likes of Pablo Lopez going up against the likes of Alexia Loma, for example. The over race, that will determine Group C.
Yeah, could do. I was actually thinking it might be the road. I think Finland might dominate the road to the extent where they don't need to worry so much about the oval. But yeah, you could be right. Australia and New Zealand. Do you know, Australia and New Zealand, I would love to see Australia and New Zealand with Will Power, Van Gisbergen, and all those boys. Do you know what I mean? They could be.
Are they getting Will Power?
Really, really strong. No, if they could.
I know.
If they could convince those guys to come out, they would be so good.
Yeah. Of course, you have seen James Van G here on RaceSpotTV. You see Will Power occasionally here on RaceSpotTV as well in the 16th Street Racing League, and it will be great to see that. And that's one of the things as well, the crossover. Next year, you might end up getting a couple of these big name drivers in the same thing. But Matt, before we let you go, time to give a shout out to your own club because they have won Group A.
Yeah, and like I said, it's a group effort, and I just want to say a big thanks to all of the club. Everybody who's sat in Mumble at the minute, is like 30-40 of them. You know, anybody who ran into qualifiers, anybody who's turned up to a practice, anything. Without them, we wouldn't be where we are now. We've got to now step it up, get ready and go into next week and make sure that we don't let ourselves or them down. And, you know, we're going to win it.
Matt Dalton there. Rachel Whiteford is back. Rachel, this has been, in many ways, the best case scenario for Club UK Ireland, but at the same time, as Matt Dalton just mentioned, complacency for Finland, you've got to hope that Club UK Ireland don't be complacent when they get to the finals, because there are still some great clubs still to come, and we know that Finland and Diat always keep a little bit in reserve.
Yeah, well, I'm back now, of course. I was actually up on the pit box for Rob Reed from Team UK and Ireland in that round. So I kind of wearing my UK and Ireland hat right now, as much as I need to be impartial as well. It was the road race. I was here with you, of course, and we saw that one, and that was an incredible race throughout the field. The oval side, of course, I was working for the team on that one, and we had a strong race, and I think I can agree with Matt in that we didn't deploy everything at once there. We definitely had stuff left. That was not as hard as we expected.
Now, looking forward to the rest of today, it's going to be incredible to see, because in my opinion, Group C is the group of death by some great way, but Group B
absolutely
is going to be a very interesting one in its own right. We expect Diaz to win Group B, but On GTR Live, starting in an hour and a half's time, it's not about who wins that group, because we know Diat are the favourites by some clear margin. But Florida versus Scandinavia, whoever wins that battle could well be the wild card.
Yeah, certainly, and I think the wild card will either come from Group C or from B, I think. That's potentially where it'll come from, but I think it will be decided on the oval, because the road sides are pretty much, we know what's going to happen. Anything can happen on an oval track. Anything can happen in that race. The way the cautions fall can throw everything up. So it's just a matter of exactly how things play out. I think the wild card will be Group C. I'm thinking this is Australia's time to shine.
Australia versus Finland versus Liberia versus Texas. It is the group of death. Probably the toughest group we've seen in the World Cup history. Now, Finland, of course, defending champions, odds-on favourite. It will be at 10 PM GMT. Australia's already complaining about the fact that it's not a time that suits them, but still, you've got some good drivers coming from there. You've also got some good drivers from Liberia and from Texas. I think the entire top three drivers, top three teams are going to be very closely separated. But the issue, Rachel, is if you've got a close gap between P1 and P2, it hurts the ability to get the wild card.
Yeah, it does, but at the same time, I think what will possibly hurt people in Group C is that Finland will be quite dominant on the road, but they could lose this group on the oval side if they're complacent, and another team could win it, and it certainly does damage the points total for that group overall. I think we might actually see a wild card from Group D, because I think the points difference will be lower overall in C.
That's my perspective right now. In my own head, I've got a feeling that Australia, New Zealand will win Group C. Finland will come second in Group C, but they won't get the wild card, because the reason why is that Carolina, coming home on the victory of Group D, will do it in such a dominant fashion that Northwest will come home and they will get themselves the wild card. We'll see them in the World Cup finals. And Rachel, it's also important to note, it's so good to see a group, which means that we were guaranteed to see ourselves an American team, North American team in the World Cup finals. Of course, we had Club Brazil previously. They're not represented this time. They didn't qualify into this stage. But Carolina, in my opinion, could really do a good shot. Northwest also. They've been great in college football this year. They may well also be great when we come to the World Cup of iRacing.
Yeah, I think they could be, and it is awesome to have an entirely North American group in there. Of course, Canada could upset the apple cart and pick that group, which I think would be awesome. But as things stand, it's definitely going to be an unusual wild card, I think, and it could be an upset in C. What happens? So we might see Finland not make it, which would be incredibly different. Different to the situation, but I think of the teams that really have the strength on both sides, you've got Australia, New Zealand, you've got Finland, you've got UK and I, and you've got Diash. So it's going to come from one of the teams that has strength in one side or the other that can throw this.
Your two most important teams in this weird championship are Iberia and Texas. I don't expect to see Texas in the finals, but they will determine who gets there. Iberia, they've got some of the best road racing drivers in all of iRacing, but they lack the strength from the oval. If they take points away, they will determine Group C. Group C.
Oh, well, just to let you know, final points are in.
Go on.
Group A, UK and Ireland have come home top with over 600 points in each road and oval event, 1,380 points. Second place is Central Eastern Europe. They jump Asia and France from the road race, where they were last. They're now second with 813, 804 for Asia. Group France coming home last with 695. So UK and Ireland, Central Eastern Europe, Asia, and then France. An awesome fight in both road and oval races, and well, we have one of the four set. This is Central Eastern Europe in the current wildcard spot. We'll see what that changes in the next groups.
Yeah, and don't forget last year, Australia, New Zealand, when the entire day, they almost got themselves a wildcard spot and they lost it at the very, very end. Could that be Central Eastern Europe? In my opinion, we'll find out by the time the clocks GMT-wise turn over to midnight, because I think it will happen in Group C. But at the same time, keep an eye out on Florida, keep an eye out on Scandinavia. Those two guys are going to have an incredible battle. Keep an eye out also on the likes of Northwest and Carolina. As we conclude here, Group A of the World Cup of iRacing. Group B is coming up on GTR Live. Our coverage of that will start at 5 PM Berlin time. So it's actually not far away at all. Just 24 minutes away on GTR Live as they kick off Group B of the World Cup of iRacing. Group C will be at 10 PM GMT tonight on the Global Sim Racing channel, part of a GSRC doubleheader that also includes Group D, as we settle the top 5 teams for the 2015 World Cup of iRacing. We'll be back in 1 week's time to be confirmed for the World Cup finals, as it's one of the biggest events in all of iRacing. Someone is going to get themselves the glory of being World Cup champion, or we just got to wait to see who those 5 clubs are. And Will Vincent, Rachel Whiteford, and also Brendan O'Brien, Hugo Louise, Johnny Simone, we'll talk to you all next time. Bye-bye.